Hello friends, today we'll start with radar topic. So radar, uh, radio detection and ranging. So actually when we look into the spectrum, here it's starting from the radio waves to gamma rays, where you can see that as the frequency increases, the wavelength gets decreased. So they are inversely related. Here, mostly for communication purpose, we use radar, radio waves and microwaves. So let us discuss about radio waves, uh, like application of radio waves basically. So one of the application was the radar, where radar defines as the radio detection and ranging. So here we can see it is like a palindrome. So from if you read it from left to right or right to left, it is a radar only. And basically it is like electromagnetic system. So we use it like these all the waves in the spectrum are electromagnetic. So when they are like transverse electromagnetic waves, because the electric waves and the magnetic waves are perpendicular to the direction of propagation, and they both itself are perpendicular, so we call them as transverse electromagnetic waves. So here we can see why we go for a radar. Like, see here the radar will have very high advantages over other waveforms, because when you like if it is a fog or it is raining or it is like smoky area or something like that, even in that conditions the radar can detect the target very clearly. Here as why one of the reason for that was, as we studied previously, that is called railing scatter. So how it works is, so when you see the sky at the evening times, you can see before the sunrise the sun gets orangey color, or somewhat sometimes it will be like blue. So before the sunrise it will all occur. How? Because the rays from the sun get scattered. Like if you see the visible light spectrum, it lies above the radio waves. So the frequency of the visible light is very high compared to the radio waves. So as the frequency increases, the wavelength got decreased. So we can see that the smaller the wave, you can see a statement here: shorter the wavelengths are more ready to scatter. So when compared to the light, the radio waves have larger wavelengths, so they will not get scattered that much in a in environment. So we can see here simple block diagram depicting a radar transmission, where both transmitter and the receiver are connected to a single antenna. Here how it works was, at like they work like simultaneously. When the transmitter is activated, the radar will be off state. When the radar is like when the receiver is receiving the echo, the transmitter will be in the off state. So when a transmitter gets transmitted a pulse, it will travel through the space and hit a target. And what will happen to this? See, when you compare the sizes of this waves, it will be very high when while traveling, like when transmitting, but when it hits the target, that wave gets dispersed, and the power of that wave, like transmitted wave, will gets way much lesser than the transmitted wave. So this is called the re-radiated signal is called echo signal. So basically you can see a few terms. If you are like transmitter, so which generates an electromagnetic signal that radiates into the space. So a target is like here target basically, while in the radar scenarios mostly the targets will be like moving targets. Okay, so either the target will be moving or the transmitter will be moving. Like it depends on the scenarios where this is used. So receiver will receive the echo signal. The antenna where the both transmitter and receiver will be connected to the same antenna. So range. Basically the range will be defined as the distance between the antenna to the target. But while calculating, we don't know when when the transmitted signal got hit by the target. So what we'll see, the time difference between the transmission and the received echo. So that is called the round trip time. So through that round trip time we can find the how much time, like how much distance the target is. Like speed is equals to distance by time, right? So speed here, it is an electromagnetic wave. All the electromagnetic waves in a free space have a velocity equal to the velocity of light. So that speed is c into that round trip time by 2. Okay, why? Because that by 2, because it is round trip, so we only want the one way distance. So we can see that. Okay, so angle, sometimes the angle will also matters, because at what angle the target is present. So basically, if you want to know the location of if you want to know location of something in free space, if it is a like for example, for our understanding, let us consider it is a 2D space, where if the object target is present here and the transmitter is present here, we want to know at what angle from the target, from the transmitter the target is located. So this also matters. So let us observe something. A target is moving, the radar signal sent a signal and got hit and got scattered. So one part, after scattering, maybe for a worst case, at least one wave will get reflected. In some scenarios, there are some scenarios where the target can't be detected. There are some stealth jets where they can't the radar can't be detected, because the waves that are retraced back will not reach the they can't travel in towards backside, because what you can say is like they will scatter. For example, let us see, I will show you some image. See here, if you see the objects here, you can see that this is the surface of an suppose there are, let us take different scenarios. Okay, in one scenario the target is spherical, and in other scenarios it is like a weird shape. Okay, place it directly towards the target, and it is like a 45 degree some angle, making some angle. So in these three cases, we can observe maximum amount of signal coming back will be in this perpendicular state. But when you observe this, when the rays hit, it will be bounces back. But no, they won't bounce back. They all will be scattered in a different direction, so that none of the signal will be bounces back. So they will use this type of angles to the stealth planes. So when we come to radar range to a target, let us find the time taken for one-way direction. Okay, let us assume that the time taken to a pulse to reach from the transmitter to the target is t1. But when you consider this round trip time, okay, tr, that is called round trip time, where the time will be 2 times of t1, because we told t1 and back t2, and another t1, so total will be t1. So round trip time will be 2t1. Total distance traveled by EM signal, d is equals to c into tr, velocity of light, into round trip time. So this is the total distance, not the one way distance. So for one way distance we divide it by 2, ctr by 2. So for maximum unambiguous range, so why this unambiguous range was, like the transmitter will not send signals continuously, right? So it will send a pulse and wait for some time. So this is the transmitted pulse, and then it will wait to listen this echo, and again it will transmit, and it will wait to listen this echo. So basically what happens, first, if the target is too far, what will happen was, if this signal, when you transmit this first signal and first pulse, and it will wait, the target, like that wave is going on, and somewhere there is a target. So even before it hits the target, the time for this the wait time got over, and again it starts to send a new pulse. At this time, when the second pulse is waiting for the echo, for the second echo, what happens, the first pulse got hit and return back. So while when it sends the first pulse and it hears the echo of the first, okay, this is second pulse, right? This is the second time, okay. This is second time. For this, in the waiting of second pulse, the second pulse's echo, instead of second pulse, it got heard from the first pulse echo. So this echo came here. So what it will think, the time it like it sent this transmitted this echo, and it will differs the time with this when that pulse or like what you call this old echo came. So this is basically an unambiguous, that means like confusion. So what so for the maximum unambiguous range means for the first pulse, the first pulse corresponding echo only heard, like within this region only it will, if it came, then we call it as maximum unambiguous range. Okay. So for R, like we denote it as RUN. Okay. Basically it's the same time, velocity of light into time, like this is called pulse repetition period. Okay, pulse repetition period is nothing but the time like that it waits for to listen the echo this time. Okay. So we can like it will be more understand when we come through the problems. So here like we wrote this this formula in this form, like in the form of frequency, where that fp is called pulse repetition frequency. So echoes, okay, fine. The second scenario what I have told, like when the second pulse is sent but the echo of first pulse was heard, then that those pulses are called, that echoes, basically those echoes are called second time round echoes. But it can be multiple time. That means if I send third pulse and I had some echo that corresponds to the previous pulses, then it is called the third time echo, like that multiple time round echo. Okay, so when you observe the graph for unambiguous range and the pulse repetition frequency, they are both inversely proportional. So we got a graph like a decreasing. And see, okay, let's erase this. Okay. So when you come to here, okay, so let's understand in detail each term. See, a pulse was sent. The width of that pulse was 1 microsecond. Okay, so pulse width, we call it as pulse width, and this is the time that transmitter is transmitting, and it is waiting for the echo. But actually what we can say, this is the whole time that a transmitter can transmit, right? Like it can send up to this part, or it can send, like the maximum time is this, it can utilize all this time to send a pulse. So how can we so from that it is using only this part and leaving this part. So from that both parameters we can define a term called duty cycle. So this duty cycle can be defined as the ratio between the time, for example I will tell it. So I'll write, so you can see here it is like and one more thing you can observe, like see, I'll show you one example here. So the power transmitted here is 1 megawatt, that means 1 into 10 power 6 watts, but the received power is 10 power minus 12. See how much difference it is. There is a huge difference between the transmitter and the receiver. So the transmitter should able, that receiver should able to like recognize this small amounts of power also. So now coming to the duty cycle. So duty cycle is like the ratio between the time, total time the radar is radiating by the total time the radar can radiate. So the time, see I told you, pulse repetition period TP, that is this. Okay, that is 1 millisecond here. So tau is what, that width, pulse width, how much width it is. Okay, this is tau, this is TP. So the ratio between tau by TP. Next, so let's look into a problem so that every term will be clear. So for here the problem they gave the peak power PT. The peak power PT is equals to 1 megawatt. Pulse repetition period TP is equal 1 millisecond. Pulse width tau is 1 microsecond. TR round trip time, that is 12.35 microseconds. So calculate the pulse repetition frequency PRF. We know already TP, so from that we can calculate, because inverse only, frequency is 1 by TP. So we got 1 kilohertz. Next, calculate the range of R to a target. So for calculating range to a target, what we can do is like C into TR by 2. Okay, the like already we discussed previously, the velocity of light into round trip time by 2. So here we got as 1.525 kilometers. So remember this, basically why means in general in radar situations, what they will the range of a target will be like what scaled in what nautical miles units, not in kilometers. So like basically 1 nautical mile is equals to 1.852 kilometers. Okay. So calculate the maximum unambiguous range RUN. So RUN can be what C into TP. Okay, pulse repetition period by 2. So when you calculate it is 150 kilometers. When you convert it to nautical miles, it is 81 nautical miles. Okay. So next, calculate duty cycle. For duty cycle, tau by TP, right? So this is tau is pulse width by the radar can radiate, basically the pulse repetition period. So when you do it, we got 1 millisecond. Next, calculate the average power. So how you can calculate the average power? So basically average power is defined as the total transmitting power into the duty cycle. So total transmitting power is PT, that is 1 megahertz, and we got duty cycle as like 1 millisecond. So basically one mistake I think I told. So sorry, here only. So here it will be 1 milli only, no seconds actually. So because both are in the seconds only, right? So it will be 1 milli. Okay. Basically it is like a factor, like it has no dimensions. So I'll change. So it will be 1 milli. That's it. So okay. Next, okay. So calculate energy of the pulse EP. So energy of the pulse. We calculate the power, average power. We want to calculate the just power energy of the pulse. So we know that energy is equals to what? Power power is equals to energy by time. So from this we can calculate energy is equals to power into time. So we got while calculating 1 joule we got. So next, calculate the distance over which waveform extension in space. So what it means, when a pulse is like when one pulse was sent, how much the length of the pulse that is present in the space. Okay, see, like for example, if you see this animation, see, when you see this, the pulse was this much length. Okay, this length he is asking how much length the pulse will be. So here we can see. So how can we calculate? We know the speed of the pulse, that is C, velocity of light, and we know the how much time it is getting like how much time the transmitter is on, that is tau. The pulse width is called the same thing. So tau into C, we will get 300 meters we got. It is that much length it is extended. So what should be the minimum distance between targets so that to see them resolved in range? So basically what was it, like see, I will tell you an example. When you are standing in a building, okay, you are looking see, if it is a very tall building and you are in an elevator, and while moving in an elevator, you are there are two persons standing on the ground. you're basically, it's like a open elevator, okay, like it's an outside, okay, glass elevator, you can see outside water and all. So from there you are seeing the two persons on the ground. Like when you see from the top floor, you will assume that like the two persons, while they are standing, they will look like they are both are attached, like they will look like one only when you are at the top floor, okay. But while coming down, what will happen, you will realize that it is not a single person, there are two persons, because we can see that they are moving apart. It will be looking like they are moving apart. That means at a particular distance you can see the like clearly, right, the like we can distinguish that there are two different persons at from certain height. So but in this case what happens in, like in our radar situation, what will happen is the radar is like still, like, that means when you map it to our scenario, the person who is standing at the first floor, like top floor, but these two guys are moving up, like through crane or something they are moving, okay. So how much distance they should be apart, so that within his range of view they will always looking like separately only. So basically, if there are two targets coming within the range of the radar, how much minimum distance that they should be separated, so that the target should see them clearly within this range. So to find this distance, it is c tau by 2. Okay, so minimum range separation for a resolved target is equal to c into tau by 2. It will be 150 meters. So next, the simple form of radar equation. So there are some equations to find the range, okay, we'll see, okay. Here we can see like some new term will notice that there is AE, it is effective aperture of the antenna. So what was it like, see, basically in these problems while solving, they will give dimensions of a rectangle like width and height, okay. So but the antennas will be like a curved shape. So how much curve, basically how much the curvature will be defined by a factor called rho a, okay. This rho a is some factor that defines this curvature. So we multiply this with the area of this rectangle, that is W into L, height, basically h you can call. So if you denote both it as a, it will be rho into rho a, that will be a. So this is okay, this is what it is. And so we can see the same scenario. Next, for the radar equation, there are few terms that are important, depends on the transmitter, antenna, environment, target, and the receiver. So what happens was here okay, sphere with an area for, okay, we'll look into them, okay, afterwards. When you see the expression, we can see the different scenarios, like what and all the parameters that are depends, okay. Here let's take from base we can go, okay. The base thing is like isotropic antenna. What is this isotropic antenna? Basically when you will think that when some antenna is present, it will radiate in all directions, right? So actually what will happen was, it is for only some few applications, but in few other applications, how it will be like, they will direct the entire signals to only in one particular direction. So that is called directive antenna. In isotropic antennas, the waves will be spread all over like in a spherical manner, in a spherical shape, okay. Like in every possible direction the waves will be sent. So when you consider this sphere and found the power density of that sphere, it will be power transmitted by surface area of the sphere, that means 4 pi r square. So for a directive antenna, like it will be only pointed towards one, like the waves will be directed to only one direction. So basically there is a term called antenna gain which define how much amount it should be directed to the direction. See, even in the direct antenna some parts will be like spread, like it will be shared to other directions also, but depending on the gain it will direct to only one direction. So to find that gain, what they have defined was, it is the ratio between maximum power density radiated by a directive antenna. So the power density of this directive antenna divided by power density of this like this value. Okay, isotropic antenna. So when you find the maximum power density of this radar directive antenna, it will be like, when you take this to the left side, it will be G into a power a power density of isotropic antenna. So we have done the same thing. It is like this is the power density of the isotropic antenna into that gain. So it is GPT by 4 pi r square. So let's find the power back at the antenna radar. Basically, I told you, it will be get reflected and retraced back towards the antenna. So to find that, first let us see one parameter called radar cross section. So this radar cross section is basically the ability of the basically depends on the target. Okay, is the measure of a target's ability to reflect radar signal in the direction of the radar receiver. So to get that signal in the direction of that antenna, it will be depending on the surface of that target. If the surface is if the surface is spherical or some round, then some of the signals will be deviated. Only few things will be coming out. The same scenario here also. See, if you take some like a plane, okay, some rectangular plane or square plane, something like, when you see that when the radar hits it perpendicularly, they will bounce back in the same direction. Okay, it will be like same reflection, loss of reflection of the light only. It will be similar to it, because they are all these are all electromagnetic waves, right? So next, if you place this plane at a 45-degree angle, this will be like reflected the 90 degrees. So never these waves get reflected back to this radar. So this target cannot be detected by the radar. So all this the how much amount and all, it will be denoted by the sigma. Okay, sigma. Now let's come to the equation. So that the transmitted, basically this is what, for a direct antenna it is like G into PT by 4 pi r square, right? Power density. So we multiply this with that factor, that reflection factor. It is also that factor by that density only, 4 pi r square here. But we want the received power, not the received power density. So what we will do, we multiply entire thing with the effective aperture. I told you, AE, that is rho A into A, that A is equals to. So finally we got an expression like this: G into PT sigma AC AE by 4 pi whole square into R power 4. So here we need to remember few things, like see, for example, if the range is in the like nautical miles, if they give in terms of nautical miles or something, we need to convert that to kilometers while substituting. Basically standard units we will use to substitute here. Okay, make sure your units are correct. Okay, don't use somewhere meters and here kilometers, like that you should not use. Next, maximum range of a radar. Okay, when you observe this equation, what you can say, this received power and the range of the radar are inversely proportional, is inversely proportional to R, right? R power 4 only. Okay, basically inversely proportional to the radius range. So when you consider this, so to find, so what you can say, when the power is the received power is minimum, we get the maximum range, right? So for the maximum range, the power should be minimum. That minimum power that can be detected by the radar is denoted by Smin. Okay, that minimum power received power is equals to Smin. So when you substitute that, we get this Smin is equals to the entire into R max power 4. So we rearrange for R max, we get this equation. Okay, for this this is for a simple radar equation. Here basically these are the radar equation, but there are other forms for radar equation also. Like when you look into it, like we replace G with some other expression. Okay, so where we substituted A. See, this is the formula for G. So 4 pi into AE by lambda scale. Okay, when you substitute this in the above expression, we got R max as this one. So you can see it is like lambda. So if they give frequency also, you can convert it, right? The frequency is equals to C by lambda. C is velocity of light. Okay. C by lambda. Okay, I will show you. I will continue these slides with other PPT. So these are the other problems where we can substitute the same. Like we have the formulas and all the values. We can substitute and find. Be careful when you're finding the decimal values, because if you're if some exam or something is going on, if they give some similar values in all options, but they will change in the decimal points. So be careful while calculating. And the preferred way was when you calculate this formula, if you want to substitute this FP in other formula, don't substitute this formula, substitute this entire like equation in that formula, like basically rewrite the formula with this expression. That's all. So you will get some approx like very accurate results. So the same thing extended in space. I will show you different one. Okay. See, I told you, right? If you want to find AE, they will give sigma A. So one thing, while finding G, okay, actually the G will be, I think in previous thing we somewhere. See here. So here he asked to find the gain. So when you substitute in this formula and find the gain, we got 78,037.44. Okay, gain. But here also for gain also there will be no units. Okay, but what like sometimes they will ask to write them G in the gain in dB. Okay, to write that in dB, it was like 10 log G base 10. So it will be converted to dB. So but when you are substituting this G, if somewhere that you should not substitute a D value. Like for example, he gave us gain as 10, like but it is not in dB. Okay, if it is like plain 10, we can substitute it. For example, if they give us 30 dB or something like that, we have to convert it from dB to normal value. Okay, and then substitute in the formulas. And pulse repetition frequency is okay. So beam width. So there is a term called beam width. Okay, beam width is like it will be basically it is an angle. It will come in further classes. Okay, in this class let's see only the formula. Actually what was like I think I can't draw here. Let's open this one. See, basically beam width will be like the angle where if the dish is there, what will happen? There will be an so transmitter. Like see, basically observe the dish. Okay, your TV dish is there, no? It is the similar way. There will be some transmitter here. It will shoot over this dish, right? And it will be reflected in the this dish will help us to transmit these rays in a straight manner, like parallel rays. It will make the rays to be very, looks like a parallel. So these angles, basically this angle we can say as that beam width. Okay, so this beam width can be found using the formula 65 lambda by d. So the d is horizontal dimension of the antenna. That means basically width only, width of the antenna. They will give as a width. Okay, Here I think in this question the width, see, 12 meters wide, so that value. So when you substitute and write it, it will be in degrees, 1.25 degrees. Okay, so let's observe this block diagram in detail. So when you look into this block diagram, there are transmitter and a receiver part. In the transmitter there will be not much blocks, that like there will be wave generator that will get amplified and modulated, because to transmit through the more, like to travel for the more distance, they will do modulation. And here the duplexer will do, I will tell you after this receiver part. Okay, so again and again here there is a block for low noise RF amplifier. See, in the receiver part we will find there will be more amplifying parts, because the receiver signal will be very less compared to the transmitter signal. If you recall, it is like 10 power minus 12 watts, like when you observe that. So that much small signal should be amplified to get further process. So the low noise RF amplifier, and it will be sent to a mixer. Basically you can see it is a super heterodyne receiver. If it is a topic from so other like, see, in super like I will tell you what it is. Basically in super heterodyne receiver we'll receive some signal, we add or subtract with other local frequencies to make it because the received signal is very low now, so we want to make it like basically to steady that, to get processed further, we will add some other locally generated frequencies so that it can be recognized by the circuit. If it is very low, the circuit might not get recognize that frequency. So what we'll get, we'll mixing with this local oscillating frequency, and we get some frequency that is called intermediate frequency. So that intermediate frequency will be sent to the 1 minute. So okay, sorry for that. Okay, intermediate frequency, that will be like further filtered and all demodulated, and that will be sent to the video amplifier, and further it will be detected if it, like, there will be a threshold decision. Why this is threshold decision? Because for different objects there will be different thresholds. Like if it hit it like aeroplane, it will be different value, or it will hit some bird, it will be different, so that we have to distinguish, right? So from that it will be it will take a decision that this is a recognizable object or something, and it will further gives the output. So one more thing, the duplexer, right? This duplexer, what will do is, like when it sends the signal, it will actually switches. It acts like a switch. Like when the transmitter is transmitting, this receiver will be off. Basically at what time it will on or off, it will depend on the pulse repetition period only, the TP. Okay, depending on the TP, after TP seconds it will be off and this receiver will be on. After this like on, basically yeah, we can say like that. Okay, like for depending on the pulse repetition frequency, it will be on or off, and the transmission or receiving is continuous. So when you come to radar equation, like so for example radar frequencies, basically this range is 3 megahertz to 300 gigahertz. It actually comes under both radio waves and microwaves. So what they have done was, they have further divided this spectrum into sub parts, basically sub bands. So here band designation, so for if it is in this range, it is called high frequency. If it is in this, it is very high frequency. Ultra high frequency, low, like L means long wave, S means short wave, like C, X. It is a compromise of L, C and X bands. Okay, S and X bands. So X band, K band, like Ku band, K upper, K above. Okay, say K under, K above. Next VW millimeter. So these are the different range of frequencies that have been uh, made from the center range. Actually, why? Because some applications use this band, some other applications use X band, like that. So further easy process or easy analysis, they have divided this. So this is one example where you can see there is a radar at the center, and it is basically a direct to antenna. How can you say? Because it is a center, but when you observe when you draw a circle only at the one direction, it is like more signals are generated. Okay, like basically transmitted in only one direction. So when it comes to the application of a radar, so basically you can see some military, so you can see some green vans, right? Very like, I think I will show you the images. So this is airport. You can see these things. There are like array antennas and all. In military they will use some these kind of antennas. So for example, we can say for airports we will see these type of antennas in the airport. Okay. For this is like surveillance radar. We call this as a air surveillance radar in the airports and all. Okay, like but actually these radars can be so small, so that they can be fit in some smaller devices also. Like they have wide range of antennas present for the radar, so they are applicable for different applications like this. So hope you enjoyed, and I think you got some few points about radar. Okay, thank you for this, and subscribe for more videos for my channel. Thank you.